Hello everyone, this is Remleiz from 40k Theories, and welcome to this newest episode of Adeptus Podcastus. Join me as always is Tactica Imperialis.
Hello everyone.
Sadly no guest this week, because quite frankly I've been too busy dealing with shit to go around looking for a guest, so...
And you still haven't come down off the high of the last one.
Oh, ha ha ha.
Oh, am I wrong?
Only slightly.
Ha!
But yes. Anyway, so yeah, it's just going to be the two of us this episode, so
yeah.
Expect Tac to face plant his desk sometime soon, in the next 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, and hopefully this clarifies. There were a couple of questions in the comments of the last podcast, sort of asking about what was going on with the schedule. Basically, because of the medical appointment I had last week, Rem just took that episode 142. We're going to go back to the regular rotation. So obviously this episode is on Rem's channel and then the next episode will be on mine. So we'll go back to your regularly scheduled programming rather than flip the order around like we have done before. It's just a one-off because I had a medical appointment that I was going to be late for the podcast. So it made sense for Rem to have it.
And it was just easier to just do 3 in a row on my channel, so...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a comment, my most recent comment on my channel said, LMAO, this channel's bit the dust anyway, so it's not like my channel needs it. My channel's dead already.
That's not a very nice thing to say.
Welcome to YouTube comments. Oh well, it's fine.
Word of advice to the audience, don't be a dick. It's uncalled for.
Absolutely.
So, in the news this week, not really that much, is there?
It's a lot, but also not a lot. Like, a huge amount of stuff has come out, but not a lot of stuff has been revealed with one exception, and we will get there. So the Fire Slayers and Eiseneth Deepkin are both out. I'm going to shop tomorrow to buy the Eiseneth Battle Tome, and that's it. So they're about to be out. The Eldari are on their way out too. I think they are... on pre-order. No, they're out. They're out.
The Codex came out last week.
Yeah, sorry. The Codex is out, so that's sorted. And hopefully they'll get their second wave of support before too long, because
We're
otherwise...
still weighing on Warp Spiders. We're still using 2nd edition Warp Spiders, guys. It's 9th edition. Why am I still using 2nd edition Warp Spider models?
And most of your Phoenix Lords.
Yeah, well, they're getting slowly upgraded, as we can see, because James R got upgraded, Malcolm R got upgraded, so they're slowly getting upgraded.
Agreed.
And then they're probably going to get upgraded first anyway, because, special characters are a bit of a bigger deal than just common troop type.
I mean, to be fair, they've normally upgraded the Aspect Warrior and the Phoenix Lord at the same time. The Howling Banshees came out with Jane Zar, the Dark Reapers have come out with Malgan Ra.
True, but Warp Spiders don't have a Phoenix Lord.
This is a point.
Which means, Shining Spears don't have a Phoenix Lord, and they got updated.
Yeah, I think it's one of those of trying to have all the nice things at once, you're just going to end up disappointed. There was no way the Eldari were going to get their entire range redone in one go in this era. Like, I know the Drakari did in 5th, but even that took 2 or 3 waves over several years to fully upgrade the Drakari.
Because we're still using 2nd edition more, so I think we're still using 3rd edition Swooping Hawks as well.
Wouldn't surprise me, and Fire Dragons, probably.
Probably Fire Dragons. I know we're not using 3rd edition Striking Scorpions. They did get upgraded.
Ish.
And so did the Dire Avengers, because they got released in plastic, didn't they? So.
Yeah, they did. I think... Is that all of them? Yeah, that's all of them for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, yeah, that's out. And their Combat Patrol was also revealed, actually, in this cycle. You get a Farseer as your leader, a squad of Guardians, 6 jet bikes, and a Wraith Lord.
That's actually not too bad.
No, it's interesting how much chunkier the combat patrols are than the Start Collectings, because obviously Start Collecting was, here is a baseline HQ troop and a thing. The combat patrols are designed to be 500 points, and so they need to be a bit bigger. So, like, for example, the Orc one had 20 boys and Death Copters and a Death Tread and a Mega Armored Boss. So they do have slightly bigger boxes these days. The Grey Knights one had a Dread Knight in it, for example. Yeah,
but no one gives a fuck about the Dread Knight, though, do they?
It's a very big model to put in a starter box, is what I'm trying to say.
It is, yes. It's a hideous model, but it is a big one, yes, I'll give you that.
Yeah, and the Thousand Suns had like 20 Zangor.
20 Zangor, 5 Scarab Cult Terminators, and a Sorcerer.
It's the special one, the Master of Fate, I think, that came out with Grey Knights and Thousand Suns battle box.
Yeah, the entire contents of that battle box is from that startup set, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
So's the Grey Knight one. The only difference is the Grey Knight one's missing Garen Crow, because that was in the starter set.
Oh, yeah, you are right. This is true.
Is this model actually available separately at the moment?
Not that I'm aware of. I will need to double check, but I'm
going to double check.
Fair enough. There was actually another combat patrol revealed this week.
Which was?
Nids.
Oh, yeah. And no, you can't get them separately, apparently, no.
Yes, that's a shame. Hopefully soon. So, yes, the big reveal of the week was Codex Tyranids. They're doing it.
They are indeed, yes. And I do like that artwork.
It is actually, yeah.
I'm just we're carrying with the tradition of just not reusing 6th edition's cover art again.
Mostly. I think there's one where there's one codex where they have recycled art.
Really?
I feel like there is. No, hang on, sorry.
No, I don't think there is.
No, sorry, that's Fire Slayers in AoS. Sorry, ignore me.
Oh.
Fire Slayers have recycled their AoS 2 art for AoS 3.
Probably because 5 sets have 3 pictures.
No, but they could have drawn some new ones that they have here. And it's a really nice image, actually. It's actually, I believe this is the invasion of Iyanden, looking at the full art, because you've got, it's Iyanden that they're fighting. I know it's High Fleet Leviathan rather than High Fleet Kraken, but, you know.
Is it Iyanden or is it a Latok?
Yellow with blue highlight and blue helmets is Iyanden, I believe. I believe a Latok is the other way around.
Yeah, it is, yeah. You're right, yeah.
So yes, there will be a new Tyranid Codex, complete with its usual stuff, and new content like stratagems, warlord traits, and synaptic link abilities, which I believe come straight out of Warzone Octarius. We'll get to that. So the synaptic links and synapse things are a thing that are back. Synapse creatures and things like that are getting a bit of a buff that's out of there. So that's good. I think Tyranids badly needed it, and people have been asking for it for freaking ages. So,
and speaking of synapse creatures, a new one got revealed. Well, I say a new one. It's actually a special character from all the way back in 5th edition who's finally got a model of its own. Indeed.
Say hello to the Parasite of Mortrex.
And everyone pretty much lost their collective minds because, Warhammer community put up this article about, the new Nick codes upcoming, and they had a screenshot, and then everyone went, hang on, that's a new model, in the middle of it, and then it quickly took it down. It's like, whoops.
Yeah, there was then an article about the Parasite of Mortrex, though that seems to be gone from Warhammer community right now. I can't find... I'm scrolling up the all news and features page, and I literally cannot see the article on the Parasite of Mortrex, and I don't understand why.
That's...
I know it's a thing. I've seen it. I've read it.
Weird. Where's it gone? It's actually gone. What the hell? It's just disappeared. Does it show up in a search function? It shows up in a search. For some reason, I just removed it off the actual site. You have to go for it into a search engine to look for it.
Indeed.
That's weird.
Oops. But yes... So, history lesson for those of you who weren't around in 5th edition Tyranids and never heard of the Parasite of Mortrex. The Parasite of Mortrex was the single most annoying thing that you would ever find in a Tyranid Codex in 5th edition. It never had a model, but it was something one of my friends who played Tyranids absolutely adored playing, because its abilities were essentially to summon and infect you with Ripper Swarms, which was a pain in the rear end if it ever connected, because it just flooded your area with Ripper Swarms. Was it good? No. Was it ever viable? Probably not. Was it annoying in a locals meta where it's a few 14, 15-year-olds? Goddamn, yes, it was annoying.
Yeah, so I'm sure a few people also seeing this and reading about it think, hang on, I'm getting a lot of Xenomorph vibes here.
And you should, because... the Xenomorph is obviously able to do the facehugger and implant its young inside of a chest burster, for example. And that's exactly what this thing does. Every time it attacks, it has a rule called parasitic infection, which means if it causes a successful wound on anything but a vehicle, it does an additional mortal wound, and infects them with parasites, which will do them D3 mortal wounds every command phase until they can get rid of the infection. And each time they do 2 mortal wounds out of those D3, so you roll a 3 up, you summon a single Ripper Swarm base for free, which probably isn't great as an ability, but it's useful in that obviously Ripper Swarms are present. They could be area denial, blocking, objective blocking. I don't know if they can objective capture particularly effectively. Obviously, we'll see what the new codex brings. But most terrifyingly, I think for many, is that any unit infected with parasites no longer has objectives secured. So I think Nidzilla lists will make great use of this in a way if they can give any monster or big unit of things like Tyranid warriors or Carnifexes or something like that, objective secured, then using the Parasite of Mortrex will allow big units to no longer be able to contest the objective against the big scary monster, which could be very useful in terms of nicking an objective. So it's interesting.
The only thing that disappoints me about this is that because this has been revealed, we now know we're not getting Shrikes.
Yeah, because this is the model that was teased in the New Year's video back in January on the New Year's open day. And so we know now for certain that this was the model. The wing structure matches like the same shape as Marathi's. In fact, it's almost identical to Marathi's now that I look at it. But that means that this was the model. And so most likely we're not going to see Shrikes or anything like that. I think Rem is right.
Sadly. Oh well. Never mind.
Maybe they'll upgrade the Tyranid Warriors kit to have wings and just leave it at that. That would be nice.
It's like an option or something. That would be useful, in fairness. But what
Agreed.
They do or not, but we wait and see. I mean, did they actually give a release date for the Codex yet? Nope.
No. No, but they do say, obviously, that it will be out soon. And given they're revealing models, I think they're certainly not in a big wait to get it out. And speaking of that combat patrol, can we talk about that combat patrol?
We can indeed, because I've not actually seen it.
So, it's a Hive Tyrant, 3 Tyranid Warriors,
Sounds
and
standard, yeah.
36 Termagants.
36.
36.
Yeah, have fun paying all that.
I mean, I can imagine that if it's anything like my demons, they'd be quite easy. You just spray them, paint the chit in, wash, done. So I can imagine that they're actually probably not that difficult to paint if you've got a plan of spray them.
It's not a case of being difficult, it's just more of a case of being tedious.
I think, yeah, if you're not someone using a spray gun, yeah, long. But I think with it being the way they are pretty easy to knock out if you've got any experience. And inexperienced painters, well, I think Tyranids are quite forgiving in terms of slightly ludicrous colour schemes. I think they're quite a forgiving army in terms of practicing on the Termagants before you get to the big scary monsters like the Warriors and the Flyrant or Hive Tyrant, whichever.
Speaking of paint schemes, they did post on one community about that Nid army that, quote, looks so good you'll want them to eat you. So we know that Games Workshop promotes Vor. And that'll be your head desk cue.
But it is a very well painted army, to be fair.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean, you've got it's kind of a variation on Hive Fleet Leviathan at a base, and it is a really it's Hive Fleet Gorgon. Sorry, I stand corrected.
I was going to say it didn't look like Leviathan.
Just the white with the blue makes me think of Leviathan, but no, there's a little post piece of paper next to it that says Hive Fleet Gorgon. So yeah.
The funny thing is, with that Hive Tyrant, with the blue and the red, it looks more like Behemoth.
Yeah, it's almost like the red, fleshy bits, white, sort of not carapace, but white flesh, and then the sort of sharp edge highlighted blue chitin.
Hang on, it can't be Gorgon, surely, because Gorgon's green and bone.
Well, if you read the picture, it says Hive Fleet Gorgon. Like
green flesh and bone-coloured chitin.
Yeah, well, it says Hive Fleet Gorgon, Pharos Splinter Fleet. There's a little...
Oh, it's a splinter, okay.
Yeah, so there's a blur. That's why I said it looked like Leviathan at first, with the white and blue. It looks like a variation on Leviathan.
Right.
But no, it's a splinter of Gorgon, apparently.
Fair enough.
But I think before we get too far down any rabbit hole, I think it's worth talking about, since we mentioned it earlier with the rules thing, a very recent post that came out today regarding the Warzone books, since Warzone whichever Warzone it's on, Narkmund, I think, is just around about ready to come out or is on sale or whatever it is. I don't even keep track anymore. Because the old ones, Caradon 1 and 2 and Octarius 1, are going on last chance to buy.
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of understand with Caradon, because Caradon came out like quite a long time ago now, as far as 9th edition is concerned. But Octarius didn't come out that long ago, did it?
I mean, Octarius... Actually, I can go and check on the Parasite of on the Tyranid article exactly how long it came out. So, it literally has a link to an article about the synaptic links, which are in Octarius Book 1. It was August. It was August and September.
Jesus Christ.
6 months.
A lifespan of only 6 months, that's just...
Yeah.
I mean, I know Gathering Storm had a very short lifespan, but that's because it literally came out right at the end of the edition, so you can kind of forgive that.
Or at the very least, it's same as like the End Times and Malign Portents and even to an extent Broken Realms. A lot of these sort of build-up series that release these new models are very short shelf life by design. They're not worth buying book-wise unless you want to read the lore. But these Warzone books, like, as much as you can rail against the fact that, why are we patching armies in DLC books rather than, just getting a codex out? And then actually, let's just put the bits from these Warzone books in the codex anyway, so why do we even bother having the stopgap? It's the fact that, it's a shockingly short shelf life, and it's going to actively discourage people from buying them. Because if you know that the Eldari rules, or the Chaos Space Marine rules in Warzone Narkmund, are going to be rolled into the Chaos Space Marine Codex, because that's exactly what they've just done with the Tyranids, and it's then going to be taken off sale, why would you even buy it?
I have no idea.
It's like Gathering Storm. No, Psychic Awakening 9, the Necron one. The last one. I've forgotten its name. That
Pariah,
one...
Pariah, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, that was it, Pariah. Like, the rules in there, any Necron rules in there, for, like, Illuminor Caesaras or whatever, were designed to last, 2 months. And they made it clear there were no Necron rules in there because they were going to be putting out a Necron Codex around the corner. And it just makes you think, why are we making these stopgap books for 20-25 quid with all these upgrades for an army that are going to go into the Codex anyway? And it's just either speed up the Codex release schedule, which I don't approve of, by the way. I've made a video about Games Workshop's release schedule. Or just be patient and just say, right, here's the roadmap. In 6 months, these are the codices that will be out. In the meantime, you can be assured we might preview a few things, show a few things that are coming out. Instead of, here is some rules behind a 25 quid paywall. You may as well not buy them because the important ones are going into your codex when it comes out in 6 months anyway.
Well, they could do that because, back in the day, I don't know if they still do it now because I don't have, an active White Dwarf subscription, but, back in the day, what they would do, if a codex was, on the way in, 2-3 months or whatever, they would have, little things in White Dwarf, here are, the rules to use certain, new rules for these units or whatever, just in White Dwarf, or even, entire, beta army lists. Because I remember, during 5th edition Fantasy, right at the tail end, in White Dwarf, you had the beta list for the Tomb Kings, because Tomb Kings wouldn't actually get an actual book until 6th. Because it was, shortly after when 5th edition released the standalone Vampire Count army book. So they said, oh, well, for everyone who's still got, the old mummy models from the original Undead book, you can't use them in a Vampire Count army, so we're going to make a Tomb King army for you. Here's the beta army list, and next edition, here's the full army book.
No, they don't do that. It's arguably worse. Because you've heard me rant on the podcast before about the fact that most Age of Sigmar Battle Tome updates, the only rules update these books are going to get, as far as we're aware, is going in White Dwarf at 1 a month. There's a Tome Celestial all about, here are some upgrades for Soulblight Gravelords, here are some updates for Sons of Behemoth, here are some updates for...
I understand that, but here's counterpoint. Instead of paying 25 quid for a book for a rules update, you're paying £2.50 or whatever the cost of White Dwarf issue is.
£8.
£8. £8 is still preferable to 25.
I agree, absolutely. But the problem I'm having is not that they're doing it, because I think it's the right way to get rules out. It's the fact that they're basically just saying to these armies, you're not getting an update this edition, now shove off.
Mm.
Because Soulblight Gravelords don't need one. They've just come out. Only 6 to 7, 8 months ago. So they're not getting a new book. Here's some updates. But Seraphon, they came out yonks ago. Shove it in White Dwarf. Citizens of Sigmar came out a year into 2nd edition. Shove it in White Dwarf. Only a small update for a small sub-faction of the faction. Shove off. Blades of Khorne. One of the big Chaos factions. Shove it in White Dwarf.
Mm.
And Blades of Khorne's not a new book. It's at least 18 months.
Even so, it's still preferable to, hey, your codex has just come out and it's immediately out of date. The day it's been released, or a week before it was released, it's already out of date.
I know. And I agree with that. I think it's one of the problems with this release schedule is these rules that are in White Dwarf, if you don't buy that White Dwarf, you miss it. It's gone. Because they don't archive White Dwarf unless you buy the Warhammer Plus subscription. They don't put these rules articles for these models on Warhammer Community. They are in White Dwarf and nowhere else.
Do they not sell back issues anymore?
What do you mean?
If you end up missing that issue of White Dwarf, do they not sell back it? You all of a sudden, I miss this, can I get this older issue? Because you used to be able to do that back in the day.
I have never had the pleasure of trying. The comments might be able to say, and I know that a friendly local gaming store near to me usually has a few spares of last month's in, because they don't sell what they're given every month. But I've never asked whether you can back order a White Dwarf from the previous month. I've never tried.
Fair enough.
I mean, it's possible. And if it is, then that alleviates the problem. But if you don't know that's a thing, like I didn't, then how would you know? And if you missed it because you were on holiday, or you were unwell, or you just didn't read Warhammer Community that month, then how would you even know
the money for a White Dwarf subscription? I'm kidding. That reminds me, does White Dwarf, when you get a subscription to White Dwarf, does it actually give you anything aside from just, issues of White Dwarf?
I believe it's discounted.
Ah.
I think it's 12 months for the price of 10 or something.
Because, again, showing my age here, because back in the day you had the choice of ordering from, a 6-month subscription or, a 12-month subscription, and you get gifts with either one, with a 12-month subscription, so with a 6-month subscription you get, a free £5 box set, so, a box of miniatures as well with your subscription. And if you went for, a 12-month subscription, you get to have, one of the, the B games as your free gift. If you want, Blood Bowl, for example, you get that as your gift.
Yeah, no. I don't know exactly what... I'm looking to... Sorry.
Or if, it's just instead of just one of the B games, you also got, a choice of potentially, one of the expansions for one of the big games. So, Warhammer Magic for Warhammer Fantasy, or Dark Millennium for 40k, for example.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in this issue of White Dwarf, there are 26 cards, 2 War Scrolls, a bunch of Kill Team stuff, and a few Warcry bits, as well as 2 posters as well, and that's all for free on top of White Dwarf. But I'm reading the article trying to work out if a White Dwarf subscription is actually any cheaper, and I can't see it on this article. I maybe could go and find it on the store, but I can't be bothered.
Fair enough.
But what's in there is, like I say, the Blades of Khorne's Tome Celestial, which is a new battle trait, a new War Scroll for their terrain piece, a bunch of match play stuff, and a Path to Glory campaign. So it's got basically all the bits that an AoS 2 army doesn't have for AoS 3, and some rules updates.
Huh. Fair enough.
Harlequins in Kill Team, Painting Guard, Warcry with Ideneth and Fireslayers. The Tome Keepers get a story arc. They're getting they've actually started putting books in White Dwarf now. I think they reprinted the entirety of Faith and Fire over 3 months of White Dwarf.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, they're currently basically publishing a short story about the Tome Keepers, their custom White Dwarf chapter, over about 3 months now at the moment. I think... Oh, that's reminded me. I don't know why. I've just scrolled again and I found the big thing that happened yesterday. James Workshop hyped it up to be a big thing that happened yesterday. They released
animation.
The animation, yes.
Yes. The armoring of a Space Marine, yeah.
Which...
I saw, like, games which were Warhammer community to put out that big Twitter teaser thing. So, big reveal tomorrow. And then you had a bunch of other influencers, like, tweeting things like, I just saw the best Warhammer animation ever. Like, so I know, like, What Culture Gaming did, and, like, I think Sprues and Brews did, and some other people as well. And I love that everyone's reaction was, like, new models, like, new reveals, squats coming back, a new Primarch, or what is it? It's like, no, it's just an animation of a Space Marine donning his armor. Okay.
I mean, for geeks like me and you, it is cool.
Oh yeah, it was a well done animation, but part of me feels like, with the hype that was being built up by the influencers and, the stuff like, 24 hours earlier, I think a lot of people were expecting, a bit more. So I know quite a few people were left with the feeling of,
yeah,
that's it, kind of thing, But not to take anything away from the animation, because it was really well done. It looked really nice, and it had a nice little amount of Easter eggs and stuff like that. So, credit where credit's due. It looked good.
Yeah, but it was well put together, and it was good to see, as much as it was a lot of quick cuts and maybe not giving enough time to focus on exactly what was going on in what order, unless you were really taking notes. We got to see a Space Marine basically in their the skin suit of the black carapace. That's the word I'm looking for. Apologies.
Their body glove. It was their body glove.
Yes, exactly.
Because remember, the black carapace is a subdermal implant, which means it's under the skin. This is to stop them from chafing. Let's be honest, if you're like a soldier, are you going to be wearing a suit of metal armor while wearing nothing underneath? I mean, a bodysuit will act as a layer of insulation to protect you from like the heat, the cold,
agreed.
Electrical, discharge, stuff like that. It's just more practical to wear a body glove than just going, commando. It
was interesting, just some of the orderings of like of how the helmet goes on. Like the helmet's not a helmet; it's a faceplate. You've got the sort of rebreather area, then the area that goes in front. That bit that goes around the head, and then the front faceplate that goes on last. It was just interesting. Yeah, that was like where the line lens is just...
I was kind of surprised by the fact that the eye lenses just kind of deploy like sunglasses. that looked a bit silly, I have to admit.
Yeah, and the power pack went on last. It's like, I'd have thought that would have been...
No, the shoulder pads went on last.
Was it the shoulder pads? Oh, yeah, sorry.
Shoulder pads went on last, yeah.
But the power pack went on very late.
But you could argue, did you really need to move at that point in time?
No. Just one of those...
I know someone made a joke on Twitter. It's like, we want to mobilise all of our chapter's forces at once. How long will it take? About 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's like, if that's how long it takes to armour up one Marine, then yeah, you're going to be there a while with all the sensor bearers and the servitors and the cyber angels, which are... Yeah, I don't know if you recognise the passage that they were reading from. I don't know if that was a passage that they made up for the animation or whether it was one you knew.
I didn't recognise it, to be honest.
No, I didn't think you would.
But the one said, like, we are iron, we are blah, blah, blah. Part of me was thinking, like, why didn't you use an iron hand for this?
Well, because Ultramarine.
Well, we are iron, we are hands, we are iron hands. There we go.
I am iron, Iron Wrath, I am doom. It was the exact phrase.
Then you guess one of them just quoting a Dimmu Borgir song, like, I am war, I am pain, I am all you've ever slain. It's like, leave a comment down below if you remember that song.
I don't.
Well, I don't imagine you being a Norwegian black metal fan, though, to be honest.
No.
So, exactly, there you go. That's probably why you wouldn't recognise the song.
But no.
I have to say, that song is stupidly easy to play, though. It's literally just like, pretty much the same two notes over and over. Like, that should be a clue for everyone who didn't recognise it at first, but anyway.
Fair enough. But it was interesting, like, how the Space Marine, before he gets armoured up, he's literally kneeling and praying to his bolter, then abandons his bolter, and then someone brings him his bolter back.
Yeah, reminds me of, like, have you played that new Mortal Kombat game, Mortal Kombat?
I have seen the cutscenes, but not played it.
You know the cutscenes in the Aftermath DLC, where they're carrying the sarcophagus, like, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down.
Yep. And I love how they had a separate serve to carry his ammo clip. It's like, they couldn't just bring it fully loaded, they'd have someone else carry the ammo.
They got bless the ammo first, haven't they?
I know, but you could bless the ammo, load the gun and give it to the Space Marine rather than give him the gun. Now someone follow up behind to give him the ammo.
It's like, you dare load my gun? How dare you? Peasant. Kind of thing.
Yeah, perhaps. But it was really good and really well put together. It's maybe slightly overhyped, but still very effective. And it really shows just how grimdark the Imperium is with all the servitors and just how mangled everything is. And then this noble image, but also, whilst the Aquila is lit from below, the Space Marine is not. The Space Marine is still dark and imposing and terrifying, which is good.
It's just, do you seem a little bit short for a Primaris?
I mean, if you look at him in the image next to the tech thralls and the serfs, he stands like head, shoulders, and change taller than they do when they're stood on the same platform as him.
Yeah, but in like the preview from there, he is standing on a little bit of a dais.
No, but so are they. I'll show you the exact picture I mean. In that picture there, they're stood on the same level as him, and he's still head, shoulders, and change taller.
Yeah, which is about the height of a normal Space Marine compared to an average human.
Because I mean,
so that's why I mean he seems a little bit short for a Primaris. Especially when, in that Soul Drinking novella, a fully armoured Primaris Marine is described as being 10 feet tall. That's not 10 feet. That's about 7 if you're lucky. That guy's big show height.
Yeah, it's worth considering that these serfs and thralls have probably been augmented to be able to be more suitable to serving this role, which may include making them taller. We can't rule this out. But yeah, I do know what you're saying, and I think you are making a very, very fair point.
It's a Primanlet. There we go.
Dear oh dear.
I mean, we do get canonically short Space Marines. There is one in the Deathwatch series, like an Imperial Fist who's like the size of a normal person, which by Space Marine standards is absolutely fucking tiny.
Agreed.
And he's an Imperial Fist, so we can call him the Imperial Manlet.
Dear oh dear.
At this time, let's also take a moment to remember, one of the big lads, Hager the Mountain. The Space Wolf is not only, massively tall, but he's also fat. That's why he's called the Mountain, because he's big and fat.
Fair.
And strong.
Of course.
Oh, there was actually one thing from the Space Wolf novels, the Bill King ones, where for a reward for his actions, he asked for a pie.
I mean,
it's like, you could have had anything you wanted, and you asked for a pie, and he's like, it was a big pie.
Agreed.
I think it's just like one of those, ha, he's fat jokes.
Indeed. But, yeah, either way, it's cool. It's cool animation. And all the stuff with...
Do you reckon this is going to be leading to anything? Or do you reckon this is just like a proof of concept to like, maybe like a new wave of animations coming to Warhammer Plus, or maybe like a new advert for Warhammer products or something?
I think it's worth bearing in mind that the Lore Masters episode on Warhammer Plus that week was about power armor.
So do you reckon they're actually going to do like if they're going to do like high quality animations like this for episodes of Lore Masters specifically?
No, but
that actually would be... I'm sorry, if they did, that would be pretty cool. I think we can agree. Like, if they make animations of this quality for every episode of Lore Masters, or based on that specific subject. So, like, if you get an episode, say, on the Craftworld Infinity Circuit, and you actually did, like, a high-quality animation similar to this, but of, like, an Eldari Farseer interacting with the Infinity Circuit, and you see, like, the souls swimming around and all the stuff like that, or being, like, pulled into, like, a Spirit Stone and being put into, like, a Wraith construct. That would be cool. I think we can agree.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be a very suitable companion piece to any episode of Lore Masters, because obviously, from what I've heard of Lore Masters, and it's not much because I don't have a Warhammer Plus subscription, it seems like they do our job, but no better than we do.
Yeah, from what I've not seen the episodes because again I don't have Warhammer Plus, but from what I've heard from people, it's just talking heads.
Yeah, that's as much as that's what my lore videos were, is talking over artwork, and it is. It feels, from what I've heard, like it's lacking personality. Like even in my videos, when I was doing them, you get a sense of like the character's perspective. Like, what is the narrator's perspective, or what is this in context? How does this connect to something else? And from what I've heard, I don't think they really do that. I think it's very much just play it straight, narrate, tell the story.
I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that particular style, but if it's literally just like footage of just someone talking with like a little tiny picture in the corner and that's it kind of thing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because I think we could agree if your image is just like one picture for like 10, 15 minutes or whatever, kind of boring if it's literally just the one picture.
Yeah.
You need some kind of visual variety.
Yeah, and even I got told that me changing the picture like every 2-3 minutes was too few. But there we go.
I mean, our stuff's by no means perfect.
Oh, no. Please don't make it like we're trying to blow so much steam up our own rear ends. We know we do what we do, and we're good at what we do, but we're not going to sit here and say we're the absolute dog's proverbials.
I mean, to put it this way, I'm one guy working with Windows Movie Maker, for fuck's sake. What do you expect me to do?
Yeah, I worked out of iMovie when in the prime era of 40k stories. I was out of iMovie.
Yeah, I mean, I've never really used iMovie, but...
No.
Also, I just want to point out the irony of, like, talking with just one picture and, the podcast is just one picture.
I mean, yes, but, we're not playing it straight. We're trying to be entertaining.
We're not narrating. This is meant to be something you're just meant to listen to regardless.
Yeah, it's one of those of, if we weren't YouTubers, it's something we'd put on SoundCloud or Spotify, but we are YouTubers and we're not paying a SoundCloud subscription to put our podcasts on it.
Yeah, I'm still looking for alternatives for those asking, so... I know it's been a while, but I am still looking for alternatives. Viable alternatives.
Of course.
I'll just blame Snipe and Web because I can.
Though, speaking of books and stories and things like that, Ahriman?
Oh yeah, with his boobies.
Yes, yes. So we got another look. They gave another promo article this week about the Ahriman Eternal novel and its limited edition, which... By the way, I don't know if I mentioned it the first time, looks bloody stunning. I love the book. The cover, the spine looks absolutely gorgeous.
You going to try and get a copy?
No, it's a limited edition and I've got no use for the bloody placemats or whatever else it is. Like, the book's going to be 15 quid, like 12, 18 quid. This will cost like 80.
You got the other book in it as well, though.
Oh, what?
You got the other book in there as well.
I mean, yeah, but it will go out of sale so quickly, like... I won't even be awake by the time it's sold out.
Well, you got to have to get up early then, ain't you?
Yes, I work 70-hour weeks and I'm knackered. And so I Saturday morning is my sleep time.
Fair enough.
But yes.
Can we talk about Ahriman's boobies?
Yeah, Ahriman seems to have taken some inspiration from Magnus. And in Warhammer Community sanctioned artwork, his chest armor is rather different to... any other Space Marine I've ever seen.
Massive nipples. He has nipples that make Dante jealous.
Yeah.
Seriously, they're bigger than his eyes.
Yeah, it's almost like obviously Magnus is infamous for horn nipples and all of that stuff.
These are dome nipples.
Agreed, and it doesn't help that the gold trim of the armor curves in such a way to really not accentuate them in a different way.
I'm just reminded of that one meme, like, damn boy, that's a thick ass boy.
What?
You not seen that damn boy, he thick meme?
I guess I have, but like also just the way you said that with the Texas accent, I was like, what, why?
Because that's how the video goes.
Oh, fair enough. I've only seen it in written form, not video. I saw you have a little bit of a rant about Ahriman on Twitter.
Oh yeah, because the new Eldari Courage just casually mentioned about the Black Library. Oh yeah, the Black Library's defences have been breached. One of them was by Ahriman, who managed to steal several objects and get away with them. And it's like, when the fuck did that happen? And it turns out it happened all the way back in Warzone Fenris, apparently.
But here's the ironic thing, is, like, read the bit in the article. One of Ahriman's goals is to access the Black Library. Fortunately for everyone not named Ahriman, the Black Library is concealed by labyrinthine webway passages and guarded by harlequins. Ahriman's never quite managed to ransack it to his satisfaction.
So it's like, oh, he reached the Black Library, he ransacked it, but it turns out he didn't.
Or more like he didn't do anywhere near enough of a good job.
It's just like, I feel like this should be a much, much bigger deal.
Like, that's a novella to itself.
I know, because I know in the 9th edition Thousand Suns Codex, it does mention to the effect of, oh, some say that he used an astral projection to infiltrate the Black Library and copy a map of the webway. But that in itself was not confirmation because it's some say.
I was going to say, like, that's basically just saying that Ahriman is the Stig Like, the Stig never did any of the things that Jeremy Clarkson said he did.
That we know of.
So, yeah, it's like, okay, Ahriman breaking into the Black Library, you're right, that's a novella to itself.
The fact that, like, so many people are unaware of that fact when it's, like, the main crux of his entire character arc, his entire story, is, like, his focus to try and get into the Black Library. That's been a part of his character development and his plot since 1996.
Oof.
And it's, like, just casually thrown away and say, oh yeah, by the way, the Eldari Code says that he got into the Black Library and stole several artifacts, even though Warzone Further said it was just a map of the webway.
Yeah. And
But it's like several artifacts? What the fuck did he get aside from the map?
I mean, it's worth saying that Ahriman's primary plotline is Cure the Legion. I think it's worth saying that Cure the Rubric is his primary plot thread, but the Black Library is his means to an end of doing it. Mind you, he's tussling with the Necrons in this book, meddling with time-twisting technologies in an attempt to reverse his rubric. So get ready for a clash between immensely cranky fractions of accursed automatons.
I'm just thinking, like, why is he going after the Necrons now, considering,
Chronomancy.
like... Yeah, I get that, but, like, wasn't it, like, after, like, you know... Doesn't everyone forget, like, you know, the events of Gathering Storm, where he was like, oh, the Inari have the ability to... I've seen the Inari actually resurrect some of my Legion as they once were. Why am I not going after them?
I mean, it may... I'm not trying to try and rationalise everything. I'm not John French. It may be that he's obviously seen that time travel and time manipulation is a way to do it. He knows that he'll never be able to, you know, convince an Eldari witch to do it. Well,
not with that attitude.
But he can either steal it from the Black Library and try and crack it himself, or he could just steal the technology off the Necrons, if the Necrons have time travel technology of their own. It's arguably easier to nick it off the robots who are having a nap than try and steal it from the Black Library itself.
True, but by that same point, you can steal it off the Necrons and you don't even know if it'll work, or you can kidnap the Eldari Witch, which you know does work.
Not that the Eldari Witch will do it, that's the problem.
Under the right circumstances, because remember when she did it the first time, she did it to show Ahriman because she basically, like, you know, threw, like, the Vizag, like, into the wall pretty much, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it was partly to throw Ahriman off and just like, Ahriman, don't with me because I may be your one true hope of getting your Legion back. Bye! I think it was more, it wasn't an olive branch, it was a flex.
No, I understand that. But this just seems like a weird direction to go for, because feeling like, you know, Black Library, Inari, Black Library, Inari, I don't know, let's just go round tangent with the Necrons, because why the fuck not?
Point taken.
You know, might as well turn and say, like, oh, we're going to go after Ghazghkull Thraka because Makari can somehow resurrect. You know, so maybe that can solve the Legion's problems, who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, Ahriman Book 5 is going to be Ahriman versus Ghazghkull.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Still, looking forward to the book when it comes out.
Maybe they'll provide an explanation as to why he's now got some massive tits, but hey. No, I'm not letting that go, because it looks weird, I'm sorry. It looks overly round and puffy.
Yeah.
If it didn't have the massive nipples on it, it'd be fine. It's just that those nipples just draw your gaze to them, especially with the, you know, the golden bra.
Yeah. Oh. Sorry, I'm just having a read, speaking of character designs and things like that, I'm having a read of the article about the Exodite animation.
Oh, yeah.
We actually got to have a look and a listen to the Exodite. I don't know if you've seen what they actually look like, because obviously there's never been an Exodite miniature, has there?
No. Oh, that looks pretty nice. Just reminds me of, like, a rustic guardian.
Yeah, it's a bit like part ranger, part not. And they're actually voiced by Clancy Brown.
Really?
Yep.
The Clancy Brown.
The Clancy Brown.
Fucking hell.
Who, in case you didn't know who Clancy Brown was, or if you hit his IMDb page and just want to see what he's done, he's been in, let's see, he was Captain Hadley in Shawshank Redemption. He was Mr. Krabs in the SpongeBob movie in 2015, apparently. He's just the voice of Mr. Krabs in SpongeBob, so the younger viewers, that might help you as to who he might be. He was in DuckTales, the new DuckTales when that came out. He's been in Rick.
He's in a lot. He's in a lot.
He was in The Mandalorian. He was in Rick and Morty. Yeah.
He was Lex Luthor in a bunch of DC stuff as well.
I'm kind of stuck in it. He was Black Hand in Warcraft. He was the voice of Alec Ryder in Mass Effect Andromeda. So one for you video gamers.
He was also the voice of Silas in Transformers Prime. You know, the lead human villain,
right.
Basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just sort of scrolling down his IMDb page and just trying to find any others that sound... Some voice in Star Wars, a voice in COD, Legend of Korra, Odin in the Avengers TV series in 2010.
He was Surtur in Thor Ragnarok as well.
Oh, he was Surtur. Nice.
Yeah. He was also in Dexter New Blood as well.
The voice of Hades in God of War 3. Yeah, basically, Clancy Brown is very, very famous and very well known as a voice actor in particular.
And he was also Sergeant Zim in Starship Troopers.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I've not watched Starship Troopers, so that means nothing to me.
You not seen Starship Troopers?
Nope.
Oh,
I've not seen Dune either. Not even the new one.
In fact, I've not seen the new one either, but...
No, because I know...
I'll say this about Starship Troopers. Stay away from the sequel films. They're pretty much universally shit.
Isn't that...
The first film was good, and the animated series, the CGI series, was great. And Clancy Brown was actually in that as well, reprising the same character, Sergeant Zim.
Ah, right. It was in Fallout. Fallout 1.
But yes, going back to the Exodite, rather than Clancy Brown's filmography.
Sorry. But yes, so they talk a lot about this Exodite and how they've designed it, and things like that, and who is so fast and sneaky, he's running rings round Tau stealth teams, and has a flashback of the Exodite's lance weapon, suggesting that, you know, used to have a rider, it used to have a mount, but doesn't anymore.
Fair enough.
So yeah, I mean, I admit, like I said, don't have Warhammer Plus, haven't watched the Exodite, probably won't watch the Exodite, even though it's got Tau in it. But good to know that they're at least putting some proper time and investment and care and attention into the thing. Because if you're going to do it, don't do it half-assed.
Was the clip that got leaked, the Titan fight, was that from the Exodite?
I believe there is a Titan in one of the screenshots from the Exodite, yes.
Because there was footage going around, like a clip that actually had like a Titan like fighting, quote, a mosquito army or whatever it was. And one thing that got pointed out from a few people who did see it is that the animators completely forgot about the Titan's point defenses, which are designed to take out smaller things that attempt to swarm it, i.e. the Mauler bolt cannons and the las cannons.
Narrative says. It's one of those. And if you're trying to make a point, you don't want...
Or they forgot.
I mean, also, they could have forgot. One thing that did also happen, we haven't really mentioned it because I think it might be gone by the time this video comes out, is Cursed City. So the Warhammer Quest boxed game with the first debut of the new skeletons and zombies that went into Soul Blight Gravelords and Radikar the Wolf and things like that. Cursed City obviously went...
And the one that caused the controversy when it went out of stock immediately, and after Games Workshop said, oh no, it's going to be a regular part of the range. It's a regular part of the range. It's like it's a limited range.
And it's now back on made to order. Oh, it's until the 20th of March. So that's...
So you can still get it by the time it comes out.
It's about 4 days after this video comes out, you'll be able to get it if you want it. And it is made to order, so you will get it. And it will be, it says, available once more later in the year, alongside new expansions to provide even more challenges for your heroes. So it seems like rather than making it a regular part of the range, what they're doing is they're taking it off the shelf, then re-releasing it whenever it's time to do an expansion so that everybody gets hyped again, rather than people forgetting about it, which is a bit sneaky.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of every now and again when they re-release Space Hulk.
Yeah.
Just every now and again, it's like, oh, by the way, Space Hulk's available.
Yeah, but that doesn't get 3 articles devoted to it.
No, it's always a stealth release, that Space Hulk. Because remember, the last time I went on sale, we were actually recording an episode of the podcast, and I noticed it was on sale. I was like, oh, fucking buy it. I mean, it's Space Hulk, why wouldn't you buy it? Space Hulk's great.
Space Hulk is great. What were the other animations? Hammer and Bolter 10, Exodite 3. Oh, the Interrogator thing's coming out in April, that anime. You know, the noir animation, that's coming out in April.
Oh, yeah.
And the first AoS animation comes out in May. Yes, Warhammer Plus has been out for nearly a year, and they're finally putting out an AoS animation. So,
is that the Black Talon one?
It's Hammer and Bolter.
Oh.
It's a Hammer and Bolter animation. It's got Stormcast. Oh, it's Hamilcar.
Oh.
It's no, I'll get the accent wrong. It's Hamilcar Bear Eater, which I remember David Gaiman marking out about it on Twitter when he saw the trailer, because obviously he wrote it.
Is that my boy?
Yeah, so this is my guy. He's now got his own animation. What type thing?
Speaking of what, I think you saw the rumor engine with the monkey.
The what?
The rumor engine with the monkey.
That's a monkey.
Well, what else would you call that?
A gremlin?
Gremlin, monkey, same thing.
Perhaps. But yes, I don't really keep close enough tabs on the rumor engine, to be completely honest.
I think we can agree this is something to do with AoS.
I mean, yes, most likely. I would hope, and I'm clutching it in straws here, Kenothi, please?
Brand new army, monkeys. Battletome monkeys.
Given that Kenothi were in Beastgrave and went out 2 editions of AoS later and had no more Kenothi models aside from the Huntress in
Curse City.
In Cursed City, I'm kind of hoping they're going to get an army book at some point and an actual full release, because they look really cool. And, well, I've got all the other elves. I'd like some wood elves too.
But yeah, as soon as I saw that, I just thought that one scene from the Mario Brothers movie, a monkey. You haven't seen that film either, have you?
No.
You've not seen bloody anything, have you? Are there any movies you have seen?
Yes.
Like?
What was the last time I went to a cinema to watch a film? I saw Star Wars Episode 9 in cinemas. Yeah, that's the last one.
That sounds like the only film you can list off.
It's just one of those of I don't live in an area with I do live in an area with a cinema, but going to the cinema for one, when you're busy and you don't really keep track of what's coming out. It's like, okay, there's a new Bond film. Okay, it'll be on ITV in a couple of years. Fine, don't need to watch it, and I'll see all the spoilers anyway online before I get a chance. Oh, Dune's come out. Great, that would be nice to go and see. Oh, it's already out. It's already gone off of screenings by the time I actually have some time. So it's just like one of those of, never got time.
I'm going to assume you still haven't gotten around to watching Akira yet, have you? God
Sorry.
Everyone, leave a comment down below if you think that Tactica should watch Akira.
You do realise that I don't read the comments half the time because they're on your video. I have to remember to go and watch them, and I'm always busy. So I check the comments, but I don't really read them and, take their advice.
Fine. Everyone spam Tack on Twitter then. Just at Tactica Imperialis, watch Akira.
Doesn't even know my Twitter handle. We've been doing nearly 150 episodes here. Doesn't even know my Twitter handle.
I don't know anyone's Twitter handle.
Fair point. We missed the model.
Which one?
The next Underworld's miniature.
Oh, the guy who's sick and tired about the jokes about his giant hand.
Yes, so the Exiled Dead, an Arc Walker animated by the Force Dynamic. Basically, this is the nearest thing you will ever get to Frankenstein's monster with all the bolts and the electricity and all that lark.
That's not a Blood Bowl player.
True. Although it's not his arm, it is a borrowed limb superpowered with forbidden technology.
Did he steal it from Clan Scryer or what?
Pass. I mean, it's a giant zombie hand. Who knows where he got it from?
I'm tired of these jokes about my giant hand. The first instance occurred in 1956 when... Please tell me you get that reference.
No.
God damn it.
Yes, I'm uncultured. I know.
Okay, have you ever seen The Simpsons?
I have seen episodes of The Simpsons.
Right, it's a joke from an episode of The Simpsons about a guy with a giant hand working in a nuclear power plant.
But there are, thousands of episodes. You can forgive me if I don't know every single one and every single joke from every single one at the top of my head.
Understandable, but this came about from when The Simpsons was actually good.
Was I born?
I don't know. When was your birth?
1996.
Yeah, you would have been born by then, yeah.
Yeah, would I have been old enough to watch The Simpsons? Realistically?
I know, that depends upon your parents, doesn't it?
I rest my case. Also, while we're on books and limited releases, I don't know if they are still available. They might not be. Maybe. There was a bunch of print-on-demand heresy books released. Talon, Crimson King, Shattered Legions, Garrow, and Master of Mankind. Mind you, that was nearly 2 weeks ago, so most likely not anymore. We tried.
I mean, let's put it this way, it's not even on the coming soon page for Black Library anymore, so...
Oh, right, never mind then.
Which is surprising to say, oh my god, they partially updated the coming soon page? Yes, just to get rid of that.
Yeah, I know it's one of those things that it's a quiet week in the news, and yet we've managed to talk for an hour.
Mainly about Ahriman's tits.
Not entirely, but I know what you're saying. Just one more thing before we do move along. They have announced the dates for the next Warhammer US Open, which is going to take place across America. And it will be starting in Seattle on May the 6th, then going to San Diego, California on June the 9th, Chicago on October 6th, Kansas City on October 27th, and the grand finale is in Santa Ana Pueblo in New Mexico on November the 17th. So Americans and anyone wishing to go to America for grand tournaments, that is when they are taking place in the US Open if you are interested. And they're on sale now. Right. Yeah, I haven't really got anything more to say because I haven't touched the books in 2 weeks. So, yeah, sorry.
That's fair enough. I'm going to say, I haven't read any more of Twice Dead King because I instead decided to read through the entire Sigismund novel instead.
Ooh.
Yeah, I figured that'd probably be a more appropriate use of time.
You have my interest. Spoilers? Yes.
Yep, spoilers, yeah, because the main release of this book doesn't come out until April.
Definitely spoilers.
Yeah, so if you want to avoid spoilers for the Sigismund novel, click the link in the click the timestamp in the video description below, and entering the spoiler room brawl, and
Go.
Dun 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 dun. So this book is the setup is pretty much the same as the Luther novel in that it's basically a whole bunch of flashback scenes that are all tied together via the medium of Sigismund being interviewed by a remembrance.
Is it Solomon Voss or somebody else?
It is Solomon Voss, yes. And so, we start off with Solomon Voss arriving on a world during the course of the Great Crusade where the Imperial Fists are, and he's like, I'm here to interview you, Lord Sigismund. It's like, oh yes, I see that father got his way with the Remembrance Sword. It's like, yes, he did. So, yes, he's a fan of yours, I hear. Oh, yes, he is. Yes, I bet you're proud of that. Very proud of that. Fine, okay, well, ask me your questions then. Oh, tell me about your youth. And we start off with a flashback to Sigismund's youth, when he was, like a young teenager. An orphan rather, not orphan. Can't fucking speak today. The scene is set is like in the one of the desert city regions on Terra, and we open up with him being chased by a bunch of gangers who want to kill him.
As you do.
A gang called the Corpse Kings. And the Corpse Kings are going on about how, the angels will soon come to take them out, take them away and make them all immortal.
Referring, of course, to the Astartes.
Yes. Sigismund ends up beating the shit out of one, but he ends up having to flee because there's too many of them, he can't take them all on. So he flees to his hideout where some other orphans are, his friends are, and it's like, they're going to find us soon one day, we have to move somewhere. How about we go up towards, the ruin of the old city? It's like, that's where the Corpse King territory is. Like, yes, but they're all coming down here because of the quote-unquote angels.
They're leaving, so we're going to have their stuff while the cat's away. Yeah, okay.
Kinda, yeah. It's like, it'd be safer there because they're not actually there. Sigismund offers to basically draw the Corpse Kings away so the others can escape. Ends up in a huge brawl with several of them. He's armed with a bit of broken pipe, smashing some of them away. And he ends up getting into a fight with the leader of the Corpse King gang. And Sigismund's big friend comes, who's a former techno-barbarian slave. He comes to help him. So the two of them are fighting off against the Corpse Kings. And you see what's basically implied to be a Thunderhawk gunship just come and slowly circle round, spotting searchlights on the gang in the fights. And it flies off briefly. The fight continues.
Mm-hmm.
As one Corpse King leaps at Sigismund about to kill him, he basically explodes. Everyone's like, what the fuck just happened? They turn, and they see a giant in grey armour, just plain grey power armour. Oh shit, it's one of the angels. Yeah, it's a space marine.
Yeah.
Corpse Kings run off. Sigismund turns to his friend, tells him to run, and his friend's like, I'm not leaving you. He's like, no, you need to get the others out of here. They come for one of us. I'm going to make sure it's me so you guys can live.
As in accepting that becoming a marine is a death sentence.
He doesn't realise he's going to be a marine at this point, though.
Oh, right. Oh, actually, sorry. What's Sigismund's pre-marine name? Because obviously a lot of them change their name. Sigismund. Oh, he doesn't change it. Fine.
No, that's his original name. There's a point where the surgeon who operates them basically makes a point about oh, Sigismund, that's one of the old names. My name, I've forgotten what her name is, but she's got a very Renaissance-y type name as well, a very artsy name. So my name is also one of the old names, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this space marine, they just refer to it as death because massive giant in armor just made someone explode. Like, yeah, it's fucking death.
Yeah, if you try and fight it, you are not walking away.
So basically, Spaceman just walks up to Sigismund and just says, "We have come for you." Grabs him, takes him away. Sigismund wakes up after being blacked out, knocked out, whatever, and he's strapped to like a gurney. He's like trying to move. He's getting very aggressive, and the surgeon comes on and starts analysing him. It's like, oh, a very aggressive response. But he's also very smart, and he takes moments to look around his surroundings to plan his next move. So he's not going to be that good for Subject 12, or Category 12. Category 12 being, World Eaters.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, what category would he be best for? He'd be best for Category 7, Imperial Fists.
Aggression with logic, yeah.
And if Category 7 doesn't work out for him, either put him in 12, 16, or 19. World Eaters, Lunar Wolves, or Raven Guard.
Raven Guard is an odd choice, but okay.
But remember, at that point in time, what was the purpose of the Raven Guard? They weren't guerrilla fighters like they would become under Korax. They were terror troops.
Good point. Had forgotten this. This is pre-Primarchs, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Or after the Primarchs have been scattered, at the very least. It's basically right at the dawn of the building of the Legions.
Yeah, I knew he was Terran, but I couldn't quite remember just how early he was recruited, whether it was pre-dawn or post.
Yeah. And Sigismund ends up, meeting some of the other recruits, and they end up, I say recruits, basically all the candidates who have been selected to undergo the Astartes, screening process.
Yep.
This is before they actually get separated into legions. And when they do get separated into legions, we meet our first major continuity error, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, no.
Because he meets a couple of other, youths who are destined to go into Group 7 to become Imperial Fists like him. It's like, oh, I'm Sigismund. What's your name? Oh, I'm Fafnir Ram.
Oh, I was expecting his name to come up, and I was like, oh, no, hang on a minute, there's a problem here.
Now, for those of you who may not be aware, Fafnir Ram was born on Inuit, not Terra. Fafnir Ram was from a tribe that were a rival to that of House Dawn, i.e. Rogel Dawn's tribe. So how the hell was Fafnir Ram being recruited at the same time as Sigismund on Terra at the start of the Great Crusade? It's not even the start of the Great Crusade. It's at the end of the Unification Wars.
Womp, 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 womp.
I read that and I was like, I'm pretty sure he's not Terran. And I had to double check with Oculus, because Oculus has been doing a bunch of stuff on the Heresy recently, and it's like, is it just me, or do you remember about Fafnir Ram being from Inuit as well? I was like, no, he's from Inuit. It's like, I fucking thought so.
Is it John French wrote this?
It is John French, yes. John.
Buddy.
I mean, I know you were excited about giving Ahriman those nice luscious tits, but... Sorry, I'll stop.
Drop it.
Yeah, I'll drop it. But anyway, so he ends up getting, undergoing the gene seed implantation process and becomes an Imperial Fist. And then we cut to another scene, after a little bit of a tangent from Simon Voss asking some more questions.
Yep.
It's a campaign with the Imperial Fists and the Warhounds against a human civilization that has, really powerful psychers that's been, absolutely devastating the Imperial Army. Imperial forces in general, in fact. Literally just massive balls of psychic energy, size of, sea blocks just going whoosh at things,
Yeah, good luck without librarians blocking that.
So absolutely wrecking shit. And these psychics were even powerful enough to, take control of the minds of, Imperial Army soldiers. And one of them even tries to take control of Sigismund's mind and forces Sigismund to, start raising his gun towards, everyone else. But Sigismund manages to, fight it off and turns around and kills that psyker, who just turns to dust. And it's like, oh, so we know how to kill him. Okay, da-da-dum.
What, shoot them? I mean, isn't that bloody obvious? Shoot them.
No, I mean, you have to, how to counter their mental manipulation, I think the more point was.
Ah, right, I'm with you, yeah, sorry.
Once they manage to kill a few more psychers, the battle's pretty much won at this point. Some dropships arrive, and the Night Lords emerge. And Night Lords basically say, you have been relieved. We'll take it from here.
Oh, no.
And Sigismund says, what are you going to be doing now that we're being relieved? It's like, oh, we're going to pacify the population.
No.
And we cut back to, Solomon Voss and Sigismund in quote-unquote present day. And Solomon was like, oh, so that was the first time you met the Night Lords, wasn't it? No. What do you mean? This is your first actual campaign. It had to be the first time you met the Night Lords. No, because the man who brought me in to be inducted to the Legion of Astartes was a Night Lord. Remember his words, we have come for you.
Oh, yeah. Well done, John French. Well written.
That was a nice callback, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I approve, because that is the Night Lord's line. Yep, I hadn't clocked that. Well done. Approve.
Especially because he was wearing grey armour rather than blue, but then you could just hold it up to, like, pre-Union colours or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the grey shields. Literally, Gilliman copy-pasted the idea.
And Sigismund would basically go on, so like, yeah, I don't like the Night Lords. I think they're bastards.
No shit, Sherlock.
He was fine with the Warhounds, fine with them. He respected them.
I mean, he's going to go on to fight Angron to a standstill, so...
Angron?
Khan.
I was going to say, when did he fight Angron?
No, I don't know why. In my head, just then, I was like, who did he send? Did he, like, go into a fighting cage, the Warhounds fighting cages, with Angron or something? Like, I don't know why my brain said that. I don't know where my brain went with that. Sorry. Carry on.
Sorry. But yeah, speaking of which, after a nice little tangent, it does actually cut to a scene where Sigismund and Fafnir are actually on one of the World Eater's ships and actually watching the actual gladiatorial fights in the Red Sands and all that. Mm-hmm. And Sigismund was like getting really into it, and Fafnir was like, "You're right, Sigismund. You're smiling.
You don't do that."
And he ends up having a bit of a chat with Khan, and it's like, oh, why are you tying the chains around it? You don't want to lose your axe? It's like, no, it's just tradition our father gave us. And it's like, okay, fair enough.
So, just to clarify, are we in the post-Dawn and Angron world now?
For this scene, yeah. Basically, this is after Dawn and Angron have both been...
Yes, they should be the World Eaters now at this point, rather than the Warhounds.
Yeah, sorry,
right. No, I'm not questioning you. I'm just making sure my own head's got it straight.
They will be World Eaters now, yes.
Yeah, okay.
And basically, they talk about, the respect of using the blade and all that, and they end up having, a duel against one another on the sands, and we cut somewhere else. But fun enough, actually, that scene actually took place a little later on in the book, because there's actually 2 more scenes before then. Okay. One of which opens up with Sigismund getting into a duel with an iron hand.
And having the upper hand, I should expect.
Yeah. And this is all because Ferrus Manus got pissed off, because it's Ferrus Manus, he's a very emotional man. So it was a human civilization that absolutely wrecked shit on Space Marines, but Sigismund and the Fjords actually survived their assault and were recovered by the Lunar Wolves. Mm-hmm. And this campaign had the Imperial Fist, the Iron Hands, and the Lunar Wolves against this one faction.
Yep.
And Sigismund's basically asked to give his report, because he survived the attack and no one had actually managed to do that before. So, okay, what can you tell us? It's like, well, it was their command ship that had all their leaders on it, and I think that they're running scared. It's like, what do you mean they're running scared? They absolutely demolished us. Like, yes, but they ran away as soon as they did so. They didn't stay to finish us off, which means they know if we go against them in force, they will lose. And Dawn basically wants to bring the people into compliance relatively peacefully by just taking out their leaders, whereas Ferrus Manus just wants to basically kill everyone. It's like, they're all traitors, fuck them, just kill them all, fuck them. And Horus basically sides with Dawn. It's like, nah, I gotta go with Dawn on this one. And after the battle, Ferrus, his honor's been insulted. It's like, because Hastus Sejanus actually goes up to Sigismund and is like, you do realize you pissed off Ferrus Manus something fierce? Like, I just gave my report. It's like, yeah, but you spoke for Dawn because, you're his, son. So you kind of spoke on his behalf, which pissed off Ferrus Manus. So Ferrus wants to get his own about by having, Sigismund and one of his champions face off in a duel. I've forgotten the guy's name. I don't think he's actually a named Iron Hands character, but he's described as being an absolute beast with a huge fucking mace.
And Sigismund being, the greatest swordsman in the Loyalist Astartes, and probably the entire Legiones Astartes at the time, and for the rest of time during the heresy, is going to wipe the floor with this motherfucker.
Well, at this point, he was only Lieutenant Sigismund. He was not a captain yet, so he's still, working his way. So he was not necessarily the greatest swordsman yet.
He will be, but not yet.
He will be, but at this point, he's just a good swordsman. So he and the Iron Hand have a really vicious fight, and it ends with like Sigismund literally like putting the sword into the Iron Hand's mouth.
Like, yield or you die.
Pretty much. And First Man says, that's enough. Sigismund doesn't stop. I said that's enough. Did you not hear me? It's like, no, I heard you. What, so you going to kill him then? It's like, no, I'm not going to kill someone for foolish pride. You know, it's like, fucking hell, you got to talk back to a fucking Primo. Jesus, the balls on Sigismund.
I still think the balls on the Historitus Telecustodes is an abomination of genetics is
That's
probably...
bigger balls, yes. Yeah. But even so, like, having the ball set to a Primarch is still ballsy.
Absolutely, especially in that era where the Primarchs were still demigods.
Well, yeah. So Sigismund just turns back to the Iron Hand and says, do you yield? And the Iron Hand's like, oh,
Yep.
and everyone's like, hey, nice one, Sigismund. And the First Man has a strop and walks off.
I can imagine that Horus or whoever, or Fulgrim got quite the yelling at as Manus vented later.
Horus just looked and just turned and walked off as well. Like, neutral expression, like neither pleased nor angry. And Dawn just stares at him, at Sigismund, and then just gives a single nod. It was like, good job.
Yes.
It was like, well done. That's the closest you'll ever get to me saying your praises. Just say, oh, well done. And
given what Dawn and Sigismund will go on to discuss, yeah, that is probably the highest praise Dawn will ever give him.
We also get the infamous Sevatar incident as well.
You're going to have to remind me and the viewers on that one.
Sevatar being the only guy that Sigismund couldn't beat in a duel.
Oh, right, yeah.
Because Sevatar was a cheating fuck.
Yeah, okay. So it wasn't that it's one of those, Sevatar outswart him. It's Sevatar is a dirty heel. I know you're just going to yes and me there, but
Sevatar actually does go on to explain his methods there, though, which I'll get to. But yeah, it's another thing. Like, Night Lords are enacting compliance upon a world. They're torturing the civilian population, like crucifying them, nailing them to boards and stuff like that. Imperial Fists are pissed off. Sigismund literally smashes a Night Lord in the face with his power sword. Power field off, so it's just a regular sword.
Still, ow.
Yeah. And Sigismund said, like, you will cease this at once. And Sevatar's like, no, I fucking won't, unless I've actually got orders from my Primarch, because you don't speak on his behalf, do you? So he and Sigismund get into a bit of an argument, and they end up having their duel. Sigismund's actually surprised about how good Sevatar is and how fast he is. Like, it's kind of him like, oh shit, have I done fucked up by challenging this guy? Because I think I've actually grossly underestimated him.
And Sevatar would not hesitate to kill him if he won.
Exactly. The duel ends up lasting for like several hours. Sigismund thinks he's about to get, a winning cut, and just as he's about to do so, Sevatar literally just smashes his face in with a headbutt, knocks Sigismund to the ground. Sevatar's laughing, and it's like, you do not fight honourably. It's like, no, because what you need to know, Sigismund, is that what honour you may have will go out the fucking window.
Yeah, honor won't ensure compliance of humanity. Honor won't conquer the galaxy.
Basically, whatever honor you have, you will lose it.
And he does.
And you need to learn to accept that.
And he does.
Yes.
But I'm getting ahead of myself. Again.
And the final major flashback scene is at the Triumph of Ulanor.
Ah!
Yes. So before, the big procession, the big parade and all that, you have the Mournival of the Sons of Horus meeting with the, I got getting ahead of myself. I forgot to talk about the scene where Sigismund actually becomes a Templar.
That's a reminder, that's Dawn's Honor Guard, yes?
No, that's the Huskarls. The Templar Brotherhood are like the elite.
First Company? No.
Compare the Huskarls and the Templar Brotherhood to the Bullet Club and the elite.
Two exceptional factions, both with their own goals and both egotistical dicks.
Maybe not egotistical dick, but yeah, kind of.
The Space Marines, they're all egotistical.
Sam Ellis has something to say about that, but hey.
Okay, pretty much.
So, when the Imperial are reunited with Rogal Dawn, Sigismund at this point had not met Rogal Dawn, and he's on the phalanx, so he goes into this room, which is guarded by one of the Templar Brotherhood. And it's like, speak your name, swear your oath, blah, blah. It's like, okay, you may enter. He meets Rogal Dawn for the first time, and he's like, holy shit, he's a big lad. And And Dwarf makes Sigismund swear his oath by holding his hand over into an open flame. So like his skin's peeling off. So his skin's peeling off, but he's like unflinching as his skin's melting off his hands. Like, my name is Sigismund, I swear my oath, blah, 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 blah. And afterwards, he basically asks, like, I wish to become one of the Templars. It's like, you can't go in there, you've already sworn your oath, you're not allowed in that room anymore. Well, how can I get back in there? You have to be a Templar. It's like, so can I be a Templar? No. So basically he ends up, like, kneeling in front of the door to where the Templar Sanctuary, where they swore their oaths. He's kneeling in front of it for, like, days at a time. And every time, like, there's a changing of the guard, he asks the new guard, can I go in? It's like, you've already spoken your oath, you're not allowed in there.
I mean, score 1 for persistence, but, you know, take a fucking hint.
And it eventually gets to the point where Sigismund realises asking is not going to be enough. Basically, you have to try and essentially take it. So he ends up, like, drawing his sword and challenging the Templar. And as he does so, all of the other Templars, like, emerge and basically form a circle. It's like, uh-oh. And he has to fight all of them at once.
That's not an easy fight.
He gets the shit kicked out of him, understandably, because, like, you know, one guy against, like, 20, you're not gonna fucking win. I'm sorry.
No, you're not. No matter how good in a fight you are, when it turns into an all-out brawl like that, you are going down just to sheer weight of numbers.
But it ends up essentially being like, I like your moxie, kid. Yeah, we'll let you in. Come on in.
I mean, yeah, fair credit for having the nuts to take on the entire Templar Brotherhood at once because you just got fed up of asking them, so you decided to just say, you know what, screw asking, I'm just going to punch everybody until I get through that door. Good attempt.
But going back to Ulanor, before the big parades and the procession starting, and before the Emperor gives his speech, the Mournival, the Sons of Horus, like, turn, it's like, oh, how you doing, guys? Hey. And you got Kaelis and Ken saying, oh, you're Sigismund. Oh, can I try and shoot a fire? And Abaddon's like, shut the fuck up, Kaelis. I don't need you humiliating us by adding to his tally.
I mean, that's like Abby saying, you know, I'm not even going to beat Sigismund. Don't even fucking try. And Abby wouldn't have beat Sigismund, would he? Not back then, anyway.
I mean, Abaddon would have been one of the ones who had a chance.
Yeah,
it would have been hard.
Yeah, there was like 5 or 6 of them, wasn't there? There was Corswain, Sevatar, Sigismund, Abaddon, Khan.
Eidolon and Raldoron.
That's it. Yeah, there were like 6 or 7 elite swordsmen across the legions who were like so far above everybody else that no one could even touch them. And I know in Black Legion, Abby goes and kills Sigismund to get Drachnia, and I'm aware of this, but that's old Sigismund and not that old because warp shenanigans Abby.
Yeah, but you can also make a counterpoint. Old Sigismund is also more experienced Sigismund.
This is true, and it's also post-Black Templar Sigismund.
So basically, not only is he more experienced, he's also got the mindset of a religious fanatic, which makes him even more dangerous.
This is true, but warp chicanery.
So arguably, you could argue that Sigismund, when Abaddon faced him then, was actually more dangerous.
Yeah, maybe less skilled, but definitely more dangerous.
Oh no, I wouldn't say less skilled. If anything, his biggest weakness would be that he'd be a bit slower, but that'd be about it.
Sorry, maybe less refined, maybe is the word I'm looking for. It's like, can absolutely still go, but there is an exploitable gap in his offense.
The best way to describe it is be like, in Game of Thrones, you know that scene with Barristan Selmy? You know, he says to him against those, like, 6 other Kingsguards, like, even now I'll cut through all of you like I was carving a cake. And he was like a really old man. He was like someone like he was like in his like 60s or whatever, you know. And he was just that badass of a knight that he could take on about 6 guys at once and win.
Yeah, that sounds like these guys. But yeah, anyway, so Abby's chastising a guy for daring to just give Sigismund more of an ego boost.
Pretty much, yeah. And as they're talking, like, Sigismund noticed that Abaddon seems a bit like something was on his mind. Like, he seems a bit sad. It's like, something's bothering you. Yes. What is it? It's not really the place to say right now. We'll tell you after the procession.
Fair enough. I mean, he won't, but...
He doesn't. We never find out what it was.
Didn't think so.
Unfortunately. But yeah. So the procession starts and all the highest members of command in the legions are basically chosen to follow their primarchs in the procession. Like, you know, the Mournival of Horus, you know, the Heskals with Dawn, etc., blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And it's like, they describe, like, the instruments being used, like the big trumpets and the drums, like, literally, trumpets the size of howitzers, and massive drums from macro animals stretched over as drums of copper that are carried and beaten by ogrins. So you got We've got Ogrins playing the drums, and we've got howitzer-sized trumpets.
It's funny because obviously I used to play the trombone, and like, if you played a trombone very loudly, very low, it was very much a boop kind of a noise. That's a sound alert. Just a very low boom kind of a tone, and
it's the brown note.
Well, yeah, and just like thinking, like just the sheer the length of the thing affects like the frequency, and the width affects the pitch and the frequency. Like they will not play like regular trumpets; they'll be more like bomb kind of horns. Like
I imagine it'd be like in those Horus Heresy audio dramas with the Titan, and you hear the war horn.
Yeah, that.
It'd basically be that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, no, the size of howitzers, it probably ended up sounding like in Mass Effect,
Reapers.
Yeah, the Reaper sound.
Yeah. I mean, it's ominous enough to fit the Imperium, so yeah, I'm down for that.
And the Emperor basically gives his speech saying like, oh, I will be returning to Terra, blah, blah, but I will have a War Master to carry on the Crusade in my stead. And, Horus is my War Master. Hooray, Horus! By the way, Dawn, you're now my Praetorian of Terra, so you're going to be going back to Terra with me. But not all at once, because that would be a bit weird for logistics, so bit by bit. Okie dokie, Daddy. I don't like it, but, you're in charge, so we follow. And Sigismund's kind of disappointed, because, we're not going to be in the Crusade anymore.
Yeah, I can imagine, it's like Sigismund, Captain Smashface, I can imagine he'd be pretty annoyed about going home to babysit.
And so that night, Sigismund goes up to the stage where the Primarchs, waving to all the, everyone, basically that one piece of artwork with all the Primarchs at Ulanor. He's on that balustrade.
Yep, I can vision it already in my head.
And he's just looking it over, and Rogue Dawn says, can I join you, son? Oh, sorry for disturbing you. I was like, oh no, come along, Dad. And they have a talk, and Dawn's basically going about because this is nearly over now. Soon, all the wars will be over. And Sigismund's like, you think this is really going to be over? It's like, that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting to bring unity, so, there will be no more war, blah, blah, blah. It's like, you don't think that'll happen, will you? It's like, I think that there's always going to be war, essentially.
Dawn is right. Yeah, because it's that interesting conversation, isn't there? I don't know who has it. Is it Jagatai and Horus? About, what happens when this is all over?
It might have been. I can't remember.
I know there's a conversation about, what happens to the Primarchs when there's no need for the legions, when the Imperium is compliant and conquered. What purpose do the Space Marines serve? I know that there's a conversation between the Primarchs about exactly this, and I think it's Jagatai and Horus, but I am not sure.
Yeah, it might be. I can't remember. It's off the top of my head, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel like it is, because Khan talks about the fact that he's a hunter, he knows his purpose in life, and he's always been a little bit philosophical as Jagatai. And he talks about, when this is over, Father will have no need for us. Guilliman will be a statesman, and Sanguinius will do this, and Dawn will be the Praetorian, and it doesn't go quite into that much detail, but I feel like there is a conversation about what happens when this is over between Khan and Horus at some point. I do not remember if it's them, and I do not remember where it is, but I feel like that's come up.
After this, we get back to the final scene with Voss. He's basically so you believe that the wars will never end. It's like, Sigismund's about to give an answer, but then he stops and he hears this boom, boom, boom. It's like, oh, I didn't realise I was talking for hours. Excuse me, duty calls. And then we get to the final scene of the book, which is weird.
Are we hitting another major continuity error?
No, it's just weird.
Okay, go on.
So Sigismund is back in the desert of his youth, holding the pipe, the lead pipe, and a man in tattered armour with dark eyes and dark skin comes up to him and says, "May I sit with you?" And they have a bit of a conversation, and the man's basically looking over the pipe, just as if he was admiring, as if it was some kind of funny crowd thing. And Sigismund's like, "We're not here, this was then." And he turns around and it's like, "Why must I always fight?" It's like, because someone has to. And then the man just gets up and walks off. And I think they're trying to infer that old man is the Emperor. The dark skin and, the mysticism about him.
Yeah. I had Malkador in my head. When you were talking about, I know it's just the armour made me think, no,
Because like when he said, "May I sit with you?" like Sigismund, basically his entire body just froze. So I'm thinking it's got to be the Emperor.
Yeah, someone who commands that level of psychic control. But is it... So where is... The question then is that how is this happening? Is this a dream? Is this a vision?
I assume so. As I said, it's weird. It's like it's not entirely clear. It's like... I think it could have done without that last bit, because it would have been more satisfying if he said, if Sigismund just went, "I have to go, duty calls," and left it there. It's like, it's kind of like emphasising the fact that, war never ends kind of thing.
Yeah, though I do get the idea of sort of trying to get into Sigismund's head without Sigismund having to go on record of like...
Yeah.
So this is why Sigismund is the way he is because in his mind, or in through the way he's been spoken to by this being, whether it's the Emperor, whether it's his subconscious, or whether whoever it is, he has it in his head that, yeah, war never changes, war never ends, and there will always be a need for it. And he's right, because even if the Imperium is compliant, and there's no saying whether the Emperor could have managed it or not without the intervention of the Chaos Gods, he might well have done. But even in that case, there will be uprisings, there will be rebellions, there will be attempted secessions, there will be challenges. And even if they don't lead to full-scale galactic conflict like the Horus Heresy, the Imperium will never not have an army. It will never not have a need for a rapid response or different military bases of elite forces ready to respond to drastic threats. Even if they conquer the galaxy, the warp is a thing. The warp is a threat. He knows the Eldari are out there, even if he colonizes the Webway. There's no guarantee they'll be extinct. Orcs, same problem. The Tyranids may not turn up because obviously the Pharos doesn't blow. So maybe they do, maybe they don't. The Necrons are there. They will awaken eventually. So, yeah, Sigismund's right. War will always be present and will always require soldiers. People like Sigismund. Somebody has to. And, yeah, I could go on, but too many real-world parallels.
And then he gets shanked by Abaddon in the end.
And then he gets shanked by Abaddon. Well,
that doesn't happen in this book.
No. To be fair, there's a big bit in the middle, and then he runs away from war because he knows he's going to die, and then he admits it, cowardice to his Primarch, is shamed, turned into the ultimate killing machine as the first Black Templar, goes on a tear at the Siege of Terror, then founds a successor chapter of Fanatics, then leaves, then gets shanked by Abaddon in the end.
Yeah. The ironic thing is that because Sigismund does die at the end of Abaddon's first Black Crusade, he actually technically died before Rogel Dawn did.
If we go by Schrodinger's Primarch, yes.
Because Rogel Dawn's quote-unquote disappearance happened during one of the earliest Black Crusade. We're not sure which one, but we know Sigismund died at the first. It was
at the end of the first, though, wasn't it?
It was literally like, hey, guess what? We just came out of the warp. Oh shit, that's a Black Templar fleet. What the fuck?
I thought that, obviously the Black Crusades all served Abaddon's goals, and I thought the goal of the first Black Crusade was get Drak in the end.
Sigismund died literally sometime shortly after Abaddon actually got out of the warp, because the Black Templars were basically waiting for them.
Yeah.
And then he got dragged in the end after that.
Sorry, I don't know why my head's warped it that Sigismund was one of the obstacles to Draknien. Sigismund wasn't with the Black Templars, and he was just this old hermit that Abaddon seeks out or has to go through in order to get to Draknien. I think you're thinking
of Ra Endymion.
Yes, I think I am. Apologies. Yes, I've completely... I don't know how I've managed to conflate Ra Endymion and Sigismund, but there you go. Oops.
They're both transhuman swordsmen. There you go.
Yes, one's a custodian that got shanked with a demon sword and told to run into the Webway, and one's a warrior fanatic who runs around in black armour screaming Deus Vult all the time.
And got shanked by a bunch of claws.
They both did that in the end.
But yeah, that was the Sigismund novel. It wasn't
Recommend
bad.
a purchase?
I mean, if you're an Imperial Fists fan or a Black Templars fan, then yeah, I'd recommend it. Out of the 3 Primarch Character Series books so far, it's definitely the weakest, I feel.
Yeah, so what's your rank order of those 3 then?
I'd probably put Luther at the top, then Valdor, then Sigismund.
Does Valdor count for this series?
Yes, it does.
He does, okay. Just wasn't sure exactly who counted and who didn't.
There's only been 3 books in the character series so far, and that's Valdor, Luther, and Sigismund.
Sorry, I just thought Valdor was another sort of Warhammer 40,000, like Horus Heresy. No, I knew it wasn't a heresy novel, but you know what I mean. Like, I didn't realise it was tied to Luther and Sigismund like that. Sorry.
Not to be confused with the novel Valedor, which is a 40k novel, which is the Eldari against the Nids.
Quite. But yeah, fair enough. It's one of those I've always been, ever since it was announced, like, ooh, that sounds good. A sit-down interview with Sigismund. But the thing with these stories is they often end up telling you really interesting stories, but not the stories you actually think you want to know. Does that make sense?
I mean, I appreciate the fact that it did actually go into detail regarding some key moments of his backstory, i.e., his infamous duel with Sevatar, him and Khan in the gladiatorial pits, on the Conqueror and stuff like that. I appreciate it did dive into that, however briefly it was.
Yeah, I thought the Khan fight would have been a shoo-in.
Yeah, the Khan fight, it was basically like, oh, let's get ready for fight. You ready for fight? Okay, go! And we cut to black. You don't actually see the fight in detail. Yeah,
and I'd love to see Sigismund talk to Angron after that fight and just see like a warrior who can go toe-to-toe with the finest of the 12th. What is Angron going to make of him?
I mean, in fairness, we did get the Sevatar fight in detail, if nothing else, so we got one of them.
Yeah, that's true. And admittedly, I know they're probably going to do it in the Siege books, or I really hope they do, of Sigismund's tear during the Siege. I really want to read about that.
Well, you already did, because in the last book, he actually ends up having his fight with Khan and kills him after disemboweling and mutilating him.
Yeah, sorry, it's just there's so much goes on in those Siege of Terror books that keeping track of all the plot threads is a pain.
I'm just confused, like, so, wait a minute. When was Khan previously wasn't disemboweled and dismembered?
No, he was impaled on a spike.
Land Raider.
Yeah, Land Raider, yeah.
Land Raider's bulldozer.
Yeah, I knew it was a dozer blade. I thought it was a dozer blade.
No, it turns out Sigismund just butchered him.
Yeah, but it was one of those things that, like, if these books were written further apart or by the same author, I'd have loved to see the callbacks that you could get from paying it off at another time. So, like, let's say the Sigismund came out 1 year later, after this Siege of Terror book, there could have been callbacks or call forwards of, like, so they've said this thing in this conversation and Sigismund maybe makes a comment or they fight a certain way, and they could have called back to that in the Sigismund novel with the Khan fight. It's one of those of, like, what if, and I know you can't ask for everything and get everything with these books, but
I'm just still a little bit miffed with how, like, that stuff with Fafnir around. It's like, oh, if you replaced Fafnir around with someone else, like was Alexis Pollux Terran?
I want to say yes, but I am absolutely not sure. 2 seconds.
Because if Alexis Pollux was Terran, if they got rid of him, if they replaced Fafnir around in the book with Alexis Pollux, it'd probably been better overall. Then again, Pollux wasn't as, jovial and... No, Pollux was from Inwit as well.
Yeah. Yeah, he was Inwitian.
Yeah. Well, they could have just made up, a brand new character for that book and just have him get killed off at some point during one of the Great Crusade battles or something.
Yeah, I'm literally having a look now at sort of notable Imperial Fist of Heresy era personality. If it won't be Legion Master Matthias. No, he wouldn't be any use. Captain Arcamus could have been fun. The Master of the Huskars. That could have been fun.
But yeah, just like, oh, John, you started off so promising, and then you brought in Fafnir around. It's like, no, he wasn't around then. He was on a different fucking planet.
Yep.
It'd be like, I don't know, saying like, oh yes, Azek Ahriman, who was born in Tizca, even though he was Terran.
Yeah, it's like, there are certain things that you just have to get right, and yeah, that's one of them. Like, you have to, if you're going to do that sort of thing, great, but you've got to be on top of exactly who was where or when were they there. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'm probably not saying it very well.
No, I know what you mean. But yeah, if you're an Imperial Fist or Black Templar fan, ignoring the faffiness with Fafnir around the side, I do recommend it if you're a fan of that particular faction. If you're not an Imperial Fist or Black Templar fan, you probably won't enjoy it that much. Overall,
yeah, because I can't imagine Night Lord fans come out of it looking good.
I mean, well, it does show Sevatar being, a bit of a back-talking, smart ass who can, actually back up in a fight. Because that's what he was. He was a arrogant little dipshit who actually had the talent to back it up.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can't quote the wrestling joke that fast. Never mind.
So for the Sevatar bit was good, and the Night Lord's like, oh yeah, we'll take it from here. We're gonna bring him into compliance. Rev up the chain blades.
Rev up the chain blades and ready the virus bombs.
Lube up the stakes. That kind of thing.
Yeah. No. Hang on, I shouldn't have said yes to that. No. Move on. Drop it. Right. There's probably people who've been waiting for the spoiler timestamp for half an hour, so we should probably bring those people back in.
Yeah, so. And we're back, and I can't believe that Sigismund likes cheese, but hey, there we go. Is it time for questions, considering the time frame? I think it probably is.
Yeah, before we do, though, there's something I wanted to mention earlier, and I just never did. There was a thread I read on Twitter, and it came from a video by Valrak, and then a tweet thread from Kirioth about sort of people's feelings regarding the hobby. I thoroughly encourage you to go watch that video and read that thread. I quote tweeted it when I wrote a response to it. And it was just interesting talking about how people are falling out with GW or falling out with the hobby because of the prices or company policy or whatever else. And I get it. And I think it's something that it struck me because I started to write a sort of reply to that tweet saying oh yeah, I agree with a lot of this stuff. And then I got to thinking about the hobby and what doesn't always happen for us as podcasters, YouTubers, content creators is we hobby in a bit of a bubble. For example, I've been to Warhammer World twice. I haven't played a game in a gaming store since November 2019. Because of the pandemic and everything else, I haven't played a game in store since 2019. And as much as I enjoy the hobby stuff and painting, and I know you've got your Night Lords collection that you work on when you get chance, mm-hmm. It's kind of a more isolated existence being a hobby creator rather than just a hobbyist. And it never struck me this until I started Warhammer Club, because I'm doing a Warhammer Club at school. I've talked about that before. I'm not going to get into details because obviously safeguarding, etc. But just being able to share your passion for the hobby with people and literally having people who go home and go out to buy Warhammer the next day because they were so inspired, and who will literally sit in lessons constantly asking you questions about models or painting or books, or sending you emails about, oh, how do I do this? What about this? What about this? Or coming to find you to ask you questions or to ask if they can borrow your models for a day. It's just you forget how amazingly social a hobby this should be. And I think the pandemic has really done a number on us in that sense, because I had forgotten part of what makes this hobby so good. I love this podcast, and please don't take this as, I don't appreciate everything I have as a YouTuber. It's just, I didn't realize how much I missed chatting in a room with people about Warhammer and showing them how to build, showing them how to paint, playing games, teaching people, talking about passion projects and telling them stories, and just getting to be a hobby nerd again, not being Tactica Imperialis, but just being an everyday hobbyist and socializing with colleagues. And yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you have the chance as a hobbyist, try and get out and be social if you can. I appreciate there's limitations on that, whether it's where you are or any limitations you may have. But find a social outlet for the hobby. And that isn't just Discord calls and Zoom calls. That's going into a store or starting a club or a gaming group and just sharing your passion, because, oh my goodness me, the effect it has had on my enjoyment of the hobby, my desire to paint, my mental health, if I'm completely honest, is Like, wow, just from doing Warhammer Club. So, yeah, I don't know. Just something, I put a tweet out about a tweet thread about it, but I know most people who follow me on YouTube, not Twitter. So I kind of just wanted to say it again and amplify and get people talking about it, I guess.
Fair enough.
Yeah, sorry. Long ramble. Done now.
That's all right. Right, so, question time, yes?
Yeah, we've got time for a couple.
Do you reckon that some Space Marine chapters have, quote, masseuse servitors to relieve muscle tension after battle? I mean, as a serious answer, I imagine that an apothecarian would have some kind of, like, physiotherapy servitor or something like that.
I mean, they must obviously have medical care, and the apothecarian cannot treat everything. They'll be dealing with the serious injuries, gene seed harvesting, and the like. They won't have time to deal with PTSD they will deal with PTSD, but they won't have time to deal with minor injuries that will heal in time, or a slightly open wound that just needs a quick stitch, or some kind of injury like that. I would suspect that, yeah, the apothecarian will use its servitors, or its serfs, possibly, maybe not servitors, but serfs, to sort of care for or sort of attend to the Astartes who don't need medical treatment, but who need just something just to help them cool down after battle. And some of them, they'll do that by sparring. Some of them, they'll do that by writing or praying or whatever. But others might physically need that tension relieved. Yeah.
And some chapters probably like, oh, you sprained your ankle, boo fucking who, man up. No, like the Marines Malevolent, probably. Right. Could the Death Guard potentially cause an age of strife to the Tau?
I very well hope not, because let's stop repeating ourselves.
It's like, well, not anytime soon, because, like, remember that entire plot point? It's like, oh, the Death Guard are invading the Tau home system, and they decide to drop everything and chase off the Fabius Spire instead.
Yeah, they just never came out the other side of the portal.
It's like, that was such a waste of plot point. Like I reckon it would have been a better plot point to actually have, like, you know, the Death Guard actually invading the home Tau systems, like, having the Tau version of, like, you know, the Siege of Tau, you know, kind of thing. That could have been a really good plot point. That could have been like, imagine how awesome that would be for a campaign, for example. That would have been awesome.
The problem is it has one outcome. Tau wins, lol. Because they're not going to kill off all of the important Tau worlds and the core of the Tau Empire. They're not going to do that unless they're doing...
I mean, you say that, but then again, Cadia.
Yeah, but they were going for a galaxy-shifting moment to reboot and rebirth a Primarch. Like, the Tau Empire just collapsing.
Not in 3rd edition, they weren't. Yeah, back when they originally killed off Cadia, and they said, actually, no, that never happened.
Yeah, but this is modern GW where every plot point is analysed to death and they expect to have some common continuity. I know, and after what we discussed earlier, I know why that's funny. I know why that's funny. Am I wrong, though?
Expecting continuity from Games Workshop. Are you high?
No, I'm tired, but I'm not high. But you know what I mean?
Is high in itself, so...
But you know what I mean? Like, if they blew up the Tower homeworlds now and then retconned it to say that never happened, it's different to when it did it in the 90s.
Yeah, fair enough. Right. How do Imperial ships handle warp travel before their navigators die, such as being overwhelmed by the shadow in the warp? Can librarians substitute for emergencies? Yes, they can. It's just, from what I've seen in some sources, though, it can be extremely taxing for, like, a Space Marine librarian to act as a temporary navigator, but it can be done.
Yeah.
It's just, like, finding someone who's, like, actually strong enough to do it, because, like, navigators are literally bred for that purpose, you know. It'd be like, you know, the equivalent of, like, you know, I don't know, taking, you know, a Fiat Panda up into the North Pole, for example. It's like, you could do it, but it's not going to be fun, kind of thing. You know, especially if you have, like, you know, a Toyota Hilux pickup truck that's been specially modified to do so instead. That would get the job done better.
Yes, high Top Gear.
Just reminds me of the fact that Top Gear had the Hardy Boy music in one random episode for some reason.
And now AEW has it.
It's because it's royalty-free, so...
I know, but still.
Which Primarch is the best at tech? Fulgrim, Ferris, Vulcan, or Perturabo?
It depends on what you want that tech to do. If you want it to look pretty, get Fulgrim. If you want it to be rustic but effective, get Perturabo. If you want it to be pretty and smashy, get Vulcan. But also probably not as high-tech, get Vulcan. I think I'd say Pert.
Yeah, I was going to say Pert. Like, or maybe Vulcan, because Vulcan did, like, make a space station and a spaceship.
And Perturabo can pilot a tank.
Yeah.
With his armor. And
he also made a fully functional, like, miniature Clockwork Titan with fully functional lasers. So it would be a toss-up between Perturabo and Vulcan.
Yeah, I think it depends on what do you want that technology to do? What purpose does it serve? And what are your intentions for its design and its function? Because purely on function, Pert, I think would be... If you asked all of them to build a sword, then you probably would get Vulcans because he's a smith. If you asked each of them... As was Ferris. But Vulcans legendarily mastercrafted salamanders. They're known for that.
True.
If you ask them build a tank, then I'm getting in Perturabo's tank every single time.
I think the best way to describe it is like Vulcan's a blacksmith, whereas Perturabo is a watchmaker, in a sense. Because Perturabo was also known for making a lot of very delicate and intricate stuff as well. Like he actually made especially made clock for Gilliman, and a clockwork lion for Lion.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
If you're working with clockwork stuff, you need a shit ton of skill. Like, there's a reason why watchmakers are so fucking talented. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
So, I'd probably give, a very slight edge to Perturabo in this.
Yeah, I think without, having a fair comparison, because obviously they've never all been asked to make the same thing, I think Perturabo is my pick as well.
For intricacy, it would be Perturabo, but if you want something for just sheer destructive power, it probably would actually be Vulcan. Yeah,
and if you want sort of a balance, then you're looking for less power but still more elegance, you go to Fulgrim, because Fulgrim's exceptional as a smith, but, Forgebreaker versus Vulcan's Hammer and Dawnbringer, yeah, sorry.
Then you can also say something about Ferris Smash, Fireblade.
I mean, yes, absolutely. Did Ferris make his own servo harness?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, that's to be considered. Let us know your vote in the comments down below as a sign that you made it to the end of the episode.
And tell Tactica to go watch Akira.
No.
No, that's Spanish for yes. Even though it's not.
Dear, oh dear.
And on that note, thank you for joining us for this episode of Adeptus Podcastus. We hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, this has been Remleiz from 40k Theories.
And this has been Tactica Imperialis.
And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.